Finland became part of Sweden in the 13th century, but it was sparsely inhabited and heavily forested, so the Swedish began settling in the region in the 16th century, but as the Swedes arrived, Finns began to leave. Some fled to Karelia and Ingria in modern-day Russia, but others settled here in Sweden and were called the Forest Finns, or the Slash and Burn Finns, because of their practice of slashing and burning forests in order to create fields for crops. Well, this practice was outlawed in the 17th century in order to preserve the charcoal industry. And although the Forest Finns were initially tolerated, over time they began to be forced to abandon their culture and language and embrace the Swedish language and culture. And over in Norway, where some others settled, they were forced to do the same in the 17th century as well. They have largely assimilated with the Swedes nowadays, and their culture was very nearly lost had it not been for Carl Axel Gotland, who in the 18th century travelled throughout central Sweden and started gathering their stories. He also encouraged them to demand concessions from the Swedish government, like Finnish schools and that sort of thing, and although this did fail, it did help create a sense of cultural revival. Also, during this time that they were, let's say, persecuted, the Forest Finns might have played a very important role in the colonization of America. Now, in 1638, New Sweden was founded, and this was around about the same time that the Swedish government began heavily taxing the Finns and forcing them to integrate. It is hard to estimate just how many of the population in New Sweden were Finns, but it's estimated somewhere between 20 and 30% were. And although the Dutch took over the colony in 1655, many more Finns continued to arrive there, either to avoid taxes or because they were deported. So their slash and burn techniques would have been pivotal in creating agriculture around Delaware. And I say it's hard to know just how many Finns settled there because many of them changed their names. But we do know that John Morton, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, would have come from Finnish stock, and his original family name would have been Martinsson.